Miriam Campbell was the new secretary at the White Oak Nursing Home. She was young and ambitious, but most of all, she was eager to help out. She thought of herself as more than just a plain secretary. She was here to make changes, to climb the ladder, and to do whatever it takes. She knew that Dr. Anna Soaks, the director of White Oak, would just love her. She noticed Anthony Marcel on her first day. It wasn't hard to notice the man. He stood almost 7 feet tall, and he had a long white beard. He must have been in his mid to late 70s, but he looked healthy and strong as a horse. He would roam the hallways all day and most of the night like he was looking for something. He spoke to Miriam the first time on her 3rd day on the job. The young woman was carrying a large stack of documents when all of a sudden the tall man stood in front of her. "Half 7?" Anthony asked. "Pardon?" asked Miriam, confused. She wasn't sure she heard it right. But Anthony repeated the same thing loud and clear. "Half 7?" Miriam shook her head. "I'm sorry, I'm not sure what that means." Desperation appeared in Anthony's eyes. "Half 7! Half 7!" Miriam looked at him with a sad expression. "I'm sorry, I have to go." She looked back at the man as she hurried away. He just stood there, tall and strong, but broken in spirit. Miriam told Dr. Soaks about Anthony. She just laughed. "Oh yeah, he always says that. That's actually the only thing he says. Don't worry about him too much, though. He's harmless." Days passed. Miriam forgot about their encounter and focused on trying to enter the unbelievable amount of paper files in the computer. "It's like we're not even in the 21st century," she mumbled to herself as the days just kept getting longer. "You know you don't have to do all this," Dr. Soaks told her, but she was unstoppable. The computer system was ancient, and most of the data was still in paper form. She couldn't even imagine how they were keeping everything in order. "Dear Miss Carla was like a wizard when it came to administration," Dr. Soaks continued. "She helped me for over 25 years. Oh, it's a shame she had to retire early." "Wizard my behind," thought Miriam to herself, as she kept trying to make sense of the chaos. But she smiled like it was nothing. "She trained you well, though," said Dr. Soaks, and left. It was about 7:15 p.m. on a Wednesday when Miriam found an old picture of the staff and patients. It must have been taken during Christmas dinner, since there was a large Christmas tree in the dining hall. Dr. Soaks looked so young, and next to her a young Miss Carla was standing, the administration wizard. Miriam hissed at the picture. Then she scanned the picture for more familiar faces. No one. Except, "Oh, it's Anthony." She smiled. The tall man towered over everyone else in the picture. Miriam was about to put the picture back in the file of old documents when she realized something. She looked at the picture again. Then she turned it around. 1994 was written on the back. Then she looked at the picture again. Anthony looked exactly the same as now. "Impossible. He must be around 100 now," she thought to herself. "He sure doesn't look like it." Out of curiosity, she pulled up Anthony's information on the computer. Nothing, just his last name and what medication he should be given and what time. Ah, typical. She was fuming. She stepped over to the filing cabinet. She pulled out Anthony's file. Nothing. The file folder was completely empty. She couldn't believe her eyes. "We have to have something on him," she thought as she started looking through piles. She couldn't find anything. Miriam had a personality flaw. Sometimes she got obsessed with things no other person would think anything about. There has to be something somewhere. She went through everything they had. The entire filing cabinet, old boxes in the back of the closet, old files on the computer. She just couldn't let it go. When Dr. Soaks came in the morning, she was snoring loudly, her head on the desk. "What the hell happened here?" Dr. Soaks looked at the mess. "Oh, I'm sorry," jumped up Miriam. "I'll clean it up. I swear, I had to know." "Had to know what?" Miriam became very serious. "Dr. Soaks, what do you know about Anthony Marcel?" "What kind of foolishness is this? He takes his medication, he walks around all day, he beats everyone's butt in chess, and he says half 7 to everything. What is this all about?" "Dr. Soaks, do you know how long has he been at White Oaks?" "I'm sure he has a file that—" Miriam shook her head. "Nope, I found nothing on him. No date of birth, no admission date, nothing on closest relative, literally nothing. Except this." She put the picture from 1994 on the table. "Oh, yeah," said Dr. Soaks. "He's been here a while, hasn't he?" "And this." Miriam put another picture on the table. It was an old black and white photograph. "What is this?" asked Dr. Soaks curiously. It was a group of people standing in front of a building. "It's a picture of White Oaks when it opened in 1923. "Oh, great." "Look who's in the picture." Dr. Soaks looked closer. Above the smiling faces, towering tall, stood Anthony, looking exactly like he does now. "If this picture is correct, then Anthony Marcel is at least 170 years old," said Miriam, and a chill ran down her spine. Dr. Soaks laughed. "Oh, that's ridiculous. I'm sure it's just someone who looks like him, maybe his grandfather or someone." Miriam turned the photograph around. It had a list of names on it. One name read, Anthony, half 7, Marcel. There was a moment of silence. Then Dr. Soaks shrugged her shoulders. "Please, I'm sure it's just some misunderstanding." Miriam looked at her. "Dr. Soaks, who's paying for his care?" "Oh, darling, what does it matter when we get a check in the mail every month?" "Well, I think it matters a lot." Dr. Soaks took a deep breath and put on her warmest smile. "Listen, darling, I honestly think that you should be spending less time on this nonsense and more time doing your actual job, while you still have one. Am I understood?" Miriam froze. "Clean up this mess and take the rest of the day off, and when you come back tomorrow rested and bathed, I will not hear anything else about this. Right?" Miriam nodded. "And these? I'll take care of these." She picked up the pictures and put them in her pocket. That night, Miriam saw a black car parked down the street only about 3 houses from her home. As she looked, she could swear there was someone sitting in the car. A pale man. It looked like he was wearing a black suit and tie and a hat, but she couldn't tell exactly. The car was there all night. And the next night. And the next. Miriam couldn't help but wonder if the man in the car would have any idea what half 7 means.